Hello and welcome to This Is. Austin is just wrong.
I'm not wrong.
He's like, I want to talk about this, and I'm like, I think you're wrong completely.
It's a lukewarm take at best because it's just going to happen. We're
Look,
just telling you the news a couple months early.
It's hot, that's a hot take. It's one that I have because, I mean, look at me. Let me hear your wrongness.
Okay, there have been some developments in the world of the PlayStation 5 recently. So not only was there that Q handheld guy that got leaked last week, but probably more importantly, there's been some updates with the PS5. So first and foremost, today, as we're recording this video, so a couple days ago when you're watching this, there have been a couple of updates on the actual pricing of the PS5. So it's seen its first proper sale. It's not everywhere and it's not in the US, but a lot of countries it has seen a fairly substantial cut, although it is also roughly what they had raised the price by.
Yeah, and a lot of that was like because of VATs and tariffs and
hey,
blah,
get
blah.
your VATs out of here.
Yeah.
So, first step of this thing is that the PS5, bottom line, starting to go on sale. They have also announced that they've sold 40 million PS5, so clearly a massive amount of these things. But on top of that, one of the things that really caught my eye is that Digital Foundry saw that on, I believe, UK Amazon, they've now changed the name of the PS5. And now they call it the quote-unquote standard edition, almost as if there was a slim model coming soon.
Because of all the Activision merger stuff with Xbox thinks there's a PS5
Yeah, they straight up said like, oh yeah, it's coming.
Like, yeah, it's coming. I personally do not think there's a Slim coming.
Like ever or this year?
I don't like, on the one hand, they've done a Slim so many times. You've done multiple videos on your channel. They've already shrunk the innards of the current model twice.
Yeah. So basically the original PS5 1000 came out. Then in 2021, the PS5 1100 came out, where they basically just shrunk the heatsink. Then there's in 2022, the PS5 1200, which was a much more substantial upgrade. And it actually was a real upgrade. Even though from the outside it looked the exact same, still has the same compatibility with the side panels and the shells and all that kind of stuff. But on the inside, it not only had a 6nm chip, which was a little bit more power efficient, and again, a significantly smaller heatsink, and importantly, also a much smaller motherboard. I said last year, and I stand by it, that if Sony wanted to, they can make a PS5 Slim today with the existing PS5 1200 motherboard, because it is so much smaller than the launch. The heatsink is so much smaller. But the rumors now are that the next version, whether they call it the 1300, the Slim, whatever, is going to have an even smaller motherboard, and importantly, it will also be using a 5nm chip. When they upgrade to 5nm, that's a full step forward, which will mean that, in my opinion, they actually can legitimately knock off, like, 30, 40 watts or whatever off of the TDP, shrink everything down. That's going to be a much more substantial upgrade than what we saw going from the original to the 1200.
Since they've already done this twice already, if they were going to do it, they would have already done it. We are 3 years into the life cycle.
Which is when they did the PS5 Slim, or sorry, PS4 Slim.
People just started getting their hands on consoles in the last year. It wasn't until about this year that happened.
Agreed.
So like them slimming down the thing and then bringing it and then selling it for the same price, they're making more money on it as they are selling the units as is.
I do understand that they do have obviously the side panels, which they probably want to keep some kind of compatibility with. There are also all of these special editions that are out now. So like, I get them. For all they want to do, they could just shrink the board and everything inside and just pass zero savings on to you, and then they can save $20 or whatever on each unit.
I'm glad you bring up the special editions. Your main argument is that Amazon changed the listing to
part of my argument.
PlayStation.
A portion of my argument.
PlayStation 5 standard. I interpret that as, for the first time, we now have special editions of the PS5. So we have the Spider-Man special edition, and we also have the LeBron James special edition. I just choose to interpret that as not like, oh, they're gearing up to release a whole new console, and just saying, this is the standard version of a PlayStation, not a special edition. To me, that just seems like a way for Amazon to just have like, okay, this is, we're making sure no one's confused with doing that.
Are you trying to say that invalidates the idea of a PS5 Slim coming?
No.
You just don't think that that's the smoking gun that I kind of think.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So
I will give you that.
And at this point, so like we're 3 years into the life cycle, like you said, I just think like, with how slow of a start this generation had of getting things into hands, getting the process going. If we get a Slim, I think it's going to be near the end of the life cycle. Like 5-6 years. I think a PS5 Pro is going to come way before a Slim comes. Let's just look at like the Japanese gaming culture of decision making. If it's not broke, they don't fix it. Right now, we're having the most sales we've ever had with the PlayStation 5.
No, but here's the thing. Slim consoles don't exist to sell more consoles. Slim consoles exist because when consoles first come out, they're expensive to manufacture. They've got all this cutting edge tech. After a few years, it's cheaper, but more importantly, it's way cheaper for the actual companies.
Why would they care about that? They've already done that. They've already cut down the costs on there. Again, they're buying them more than they ever have when it's the most expensive it's ever been, and it's the cheapest that Sony has ever made it for. So what incentive is there for Sony to then release now a console that is cheaper for the consumer? I'm being pessimistic on that.
No. There is a real spoiler here, which is what the Xbox team are doing. So there have been some leaked sales data showing that the X and Series S are still about like half as many sales as the PS5. Theoretically, according to our buddy Phil Spencer, it seems like they're not really talking too much about doing additional versions of the X and the S.
Well, no, because they kind of said like our Slim version would have been the S, which I'm fine with.
And like it's interesting to think about the Xbox this generation being the Series S, and the X is the Pro version of that, which I think is maybe a little bit of retconning of what happened versus what is going forward. But regardless, Microsoft have had 2 consoles on sale for 3 years. And while there is a new version of the Series S coming later this year, it's a quite small difference. It's got 1 terabyte storage and it's $50 more expensive. I do actually agree in theory with you that Sony doesn't have the incentive, because typically it's always, Microsoft versus Sony, they're trying to fight. But it seems pretty clear to me, at least from the outside, that the Xbox team are probably not in any big rush to bring out new hardware. I still think that we're probably going to see some revisions of the S and the X, but it doesn't seem like it's particularly imminent. Whereas there have been nonstop rumors from Sony that they are going to be revising the PS5. I guess the real question here is that as they continue to develop the PS5, are they going to properly bring out a slim console that is going to have a different physical design? Maybe they keep the same sort of overall sort of footprint, but they just shrink the actual height. But regardless, some new version of the PS5 is certainly going to continue to come out. And then the real question is going to be, is the PS5 Pro an actual real thing? Is that actually going to be a thing that has like a removable disk drive and stuff? Like, what exactly is Sony doing?
I just think us seeing a physical drive on any Sony console is just gone. If they come out with a Slim, if they come out with a Pro, whatever, I just don't think either of those are going to have a disk drive. They're going to have this disk drive that they want to sell you.
Yeah.
They're just going to say, here's the Pro, it's one price.
Yep.
You want discs? Here's your accessory, and I think it's going to be like $200.
I would hope that they price it around the same price. So
I don't know why they would, because again, like they've jacked up the price on every one of their accessories.
I just want to be really clear on where we're at right now. So prices are actually coming down for the first time instead of going up. We're also seeing heavy rumors that there's going to be some kind of upgraded motherboard and SoC and everything, which may or may not land in either a physically different console that has a disk drive or not, or if they want to be lazy, they could just throw this in the existing PS5 chassis, just like they did with the PS5 1200. So right now in the US, if you want to buy a PS5, the digital version, the MSRP is $400, the disc version is $500. My expectation is that this Slim model would still be $400 without the disc, and then you just have the option of buying a Blu-ray drive after the fact for $100 or
for me,
130 or 150.
What I see that being which is easier for Sony, is they just start phasing out the disc version.
If they want, there's probably some small things they could do. Like they could upgrade like the Wi-Fi and like the normal kind of like Slim stuff. But let's remember that Slim consoles pretty much have always just been like little refinements on the traditional design. You're not getting more performance. You're not getting a bunch of extra features. These are small little tweaks. No one needs to take your PS5 and toss it in the garbage when the Slim comes out.
But that's the mentality that a lot of people have, is I gotta go have the most new thing.
Yeah.
So in the past, it's the most new console thing, even though it's not really an upgrade, has been the shot in the arm when sales start to take a little bit of a dip. But like, again, we have sales that are higher than they've ever been. You have on record from Phil Spencer, like, yeah, we're not really doing any new hardware anytime soon.
You just kind of say that, actually.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
So Sony's gonna be like, yeah, let's just ride this out.
The gist of it here is that PS5 is continuing to evolve, and whether or not the actual physical dimensions of it change, or whether they continue to change the internals, and then they just sort of save money by either selling a disc drive separately or just pocketing all the cash, that I think remains to be seen. But I think it's pretty clear at this point that there's going to be a new version of the PS5 this year, which will probably be a slight upgrade on some fronts for like power efficiency and cooling and whatnot. But if you really want a proper PS5 upgrade, or you really want to stay on the cutting edge, there's likely going to be an actual real pro PS5 coming next year, would be my guess.
My prediction is the holiday bundles that we're starting to see out is going to be what, a 1300. You'll see the new models,
That's a good idea,
which have the smaller chip, which have no liquid cooling. I think it's just going to be the PlayStation,
sure,
and then the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. No muddying the waters.
Wait, I got a big brain moment. What if they do the Slim, but they take the PS5 Pro and just put it in the existing chassis, right? Because if the Slim is smaller, the PS5 Pro wouldn't have to be any bigger.
Nope.
They could just put the
They
PS5
won't
Pro
do that.
specs inside.
They won't do that.
That's it.
No, they have to make it different because then people could show off and be like, here's my Pro.
No, they're definitely make it different. But imagine that the PS5 Pro is just they slap a better motherboard with a better, more powerful chip inside. Oh my god.
Actually, the PS5 Pro should have PCI slots, so I can add a RTX 7090 to it, and I can play Starfield at 12 FPS finally.
That's only on Xbox.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an exclusive on PS5 when the change.org petition goes through. Let us know what you think. Is there going to be a PS5 Slim? I don't think so. Like, follow, subscribe, put a comment in there, and let us know.
It's gonna be a real thing.
If not,
It is actually.
I hope I'm wrong.
Sony likes money too much to not make another one.
Yeah, exactly. You're arguing my point.